You know, the other day there, my wife told me, she said, honey, she said, I know that you don't run around with women because you too honest, you too decent, and you too old. She said, how come you don't learn how to play golf? So I said, okay, well, I'm going to do that, me. Because I ain't no good for nothing else, it seemed like. So I go to see that pro at the golf course there. And I asked him if he going to teach me how to play that golf. Oh, he said, sure, I'm going to be glad to teach you that. He said, you got balls, huh? Man, I say, yeah. Sure, I got balls, but sometimes on cold mornings they're kind of hard to find. Well, he said, bring them to the clubhouse tomorrow, and we're going to tee off. Man, I said, hold on, what this tee off business all about? Well, he said, that's a golf term. And we tee off right there in front of the clubhouse. Well, I tell him, no, that's not for me. You can tee off there if you want to. But me, I'm going to tee off behind the barn or behind the clubhouse somewhere. No, he said, a tee, that's a little thing about the size of your little finger there. Man, I say, yeah, no, man, I got one like that, me. Well, he said, you stick it in the ground and put your ball on top of it. I say, you mean to tell me you played this golf game sitting down? Always thought that you stand up and walk around. Well, he said, that's right, you do. You standing up when you put your ball on the tee. God bless, man, let me tell you, man. I thought that was stretching thing a little bit too far, you know. And I tell him that. And he said, well, you got a bag, huh? Well, man, sure, I got a bag. Well, he said, you balls in the bag, huh? God bless. I said, of course they're in the bag. Well, he said, you can't open the bag and take one out? I guess I can if I want to, but damn if I feel like doing anything like that. Well, he said, you don't got a zipper on your bag? I said, no, man, I don't got no zipper. Maybe I'm just the old-fashioned type, I guess. Then he asked me if I know how to hold my club. Well, I said, man, after 50 years, I should got some pretty good idea how to hold that, you know, and I tell him so. He said, well, now, when you take your club in both hands, well, right there, I know he didn't know what he was talking about. Then he said, you swing your club over your shoulder. I said, no, that's not me, my friend. That's my brother, what you thinking about now. Then he asked me, he said, you know how to hold your club? And before I taught me, I said, yeah, with 2 fingers. No, he said, that wasn't right. And he get behind me, and he put both his arms around me and tell me to bend over, and he gonna show me how. Well, I want to tell you folks one thing. He don't gonna catch me there because I didn't put 4 years in the Navy for nothing. He said, you hit the ball with your club, and it's gonna soar and soar. Well, I said, I can well imagine that. And then he said, now when you get on the green, I said, hold on now. I said, what you talking about? What's the green? Well, he said, that's where the hole is. Man, I said, my friend, you sure you're not colorblind or something? No, he said, then you take your putter. Well, I said, now hold on, what's a putter? Well, he said, that's the smallest club made. Well, I said, that's what I got. It's a putter. And he said, with that, you put your ball in the hole. Oh, master, hold on. I said, you mean the putter? Well, I said, look, I've been around a little bit, and I believe I know better than that. You can't put the ball and the putter both in the hole at the same time, huh? Well, he said, no, that's right, you can't done that. But anyhow, he said, after you make the first hole, you go on to the next 17. Well, right there, my friend, I knew he wasn't talking about me. Because after 2 holes, man, I'm shot to heck. He said, you mean to tell me you can make 18 holes in one day? My friend, I said, let me tell you one thing. It take me 18 days to make just 1 hole.